Positive energy all the time. Here we go. Another good night. Rep your city. Represent your city. I am representing Chicago, Illinois. Shout out to everybody on Facebook, everybody on Twitch, everybody on Kick, and everybody on YouTube. And much respect to everybody on both Facebook accounts. Much respect. We got Texarkana in the building. Rep your city, rep your city. We got some international news going on. We got Orlando in the building on this Friday night. More worries and problems. We got Vernon, Texas in the building. More worries and more problems. Make sure you run those likes up, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We have Indianapolis in the building. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. Let's kick this Friday night off. I have some international information tonight. I tell you. Rep your city, represent your city. The beautiful Queen Jada is here, looking absolutely marvelous. Come on in, everybody. Rep your city, represent your city. Where you from? Where you from? Yeah, where you from? Where you from? Rep your city. Rep your city. Rep your city. Rep your city. Let us know where you're from. Let us know where you're from. We got New York City in the building, South Carolina, and representing Gambia. Oh, boy. We have Richmond in the building. We have Las Vegas in the building. Shout out to all my brothers and sisters in the Gambia. Much love and respect to you, all my brothers and sisters across the whole continent of Africa, all my brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, South and Central America, all over Europe, and all over the United States and Canada, and all my brothers and sisters in Asia and the South Pacific. Mahalo to all the brothers and sisters out in Hawaii. Shaka. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you all are doing great. Worldwide, international. We have to learn how to deal with local situations and international situations without conflict. We have to identify internationally and locally. For example, I represent Chicago, but I also represent Illinois, but I also represent the United States. I also represent the planet Earth. So we have to think locally and internationally. Sometimes we think locally and we battle locally versus internationally, but a continental mind state in Africa, it's good in some cases, but people way in Kenya can't help people in Ghana. So those in Ghana have to focus on Ghana. Those in Nigeria, they have no choice but to focus on Nigeria. Those in Ethiopia, they have no choice but to focus on Ethiopia. Now, heads of states can get together and come up with some continental ideas, but the people can't do that because they don't have a continental reach. If I'm in Ethiopia, I can't help Senegal as a citizen. As a matter of fact, if I'm in North Ethiopia, I probably can't help South Ethiopia, but that's a whole other story. We got to think locally. Like in Chicago, many times we can't think as Chicagoans. Did you know that? There's cases where we can think as Chicagoans, and there's places where we can think as Illinoisans, and there's cases where we can think as U.S. citizens. But most time we have to think based on neighborhoods. Do you live in Maple Park? Do you live in Morgan Park? Do you live in Inglewood? That's basically how you have to think from neighborhood to neighborhood. In reality. So we got to get to that level. Good to see you, Global Loopy, so that we can think in all those different ways without them clashing. And maybe one day I'll address that. But we're going to talk about this brother, Rasta Simeon, who was arrested in the Gambia for some ganja. And now they want to cut his dreadlocks off. We're going to get into that situation. Yeah, I'm good, Loopy. I'm good. I hope you're doing great. I need to call you and get an update on what's going on with you. I hope you're doing fine, though. So y'all come on in, come on in. We're going to talk about this conversation. A sad situation in the Gambia. With the brother in the Gambia. International travel, you know, yeah, they always want to cut your locks, but international travel, you know, is a touchy situation. They've cut it, so they've already cut it. Oh boy, let me see. Wow, thanks for the update. Now, everything I see. Let's see if I can see that story. Now, 5 days ago, they still saying his locks are at a threat of being cut off. But you're from the Gambia, so I would think you know. So when did they cut him, Queen? Queen Jata. When did they cut him? It must have been like yesterday. It must have been within the last couple of days, right? Must have been in the last couple of days. Oh my God, they cut him yesterday. Wow. Wow. I really appreciate this information, Queen. You're a godsend. So she said they cut his locks yesterday. Yesterday. They cut his locks. There's places in the United States that if you get arrested and you go to state prison, they're going to cut your locks. There's county jails in America. If you go, they're going to cut your hair. There's certain state prisons that automatic, everybody's got to get a haircut when they come in. Everybody. Even if you got an afro, if you got short hair, they still cut. Everybody goes to the barber and get a cut. They be looking for lice, things like that. So they in some states they figure it's a health risk because you can have lice. So thank you for the update. Yeah, they'll cut your locks quick. Sure will. It depends on the warden and the prison rules where you go. Sure does. It depends on where you go. So you say if you grew up for religious reasons, they won't cut them. He said if you get in a fight in prison or jail, your hair is the first thing they go for. I'm sure. Yeah, sure. It's to a disadvantage hair in a fight for sure, because they're gonna grab it, and then you kind of in a bad position once they grab you by your hair. You're in a bad position once they get that hair. You really can't do nothing. They can move your head around any way they want, pull you down, boom, boom, boom. You can't do nothing. It's definitely a problem. She says she knows a woman that kept getting her hair cut in jail as punishment for fights. Much respect to the Queen. Kathy, Queen, tell your husband I said hang in there. I hope he's doing well. Tell him keep fighting. Tell him don't give up. And tell him I'm with him 100%, okay? Well, good to see you, Lady Linus. He lost that battle. They cut his locks off. 71-year-old American citizen Simon David Emanuel, properly known as Dawad, has been living in the Gambia for the past 40 years. He married a Gambian woman, the late Kade Ba, with whom he had 6 children. 4 of their children now reside in the United States, while the other 2 live with him in Batakunko, Bantu Kunku. His wife passed away 3 years ago. In June 2025, Dada was arrested by the Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia, DLEAG. This is sad. They say earlier we posted Rasta David, the 71-year-old American citizen who was arrested in his own compound for allegedly possessing weed. Today he was taken to court and remanded at Mile 2 prison. His dreadlocks, which he has grown since childhood, are now at risk of being cut off, but we have just been informed they was cut off yesterday. A resident of the Batu Kunku, who knows Rasta David, wrote, "Your story about the Rasta man David is heartbreaking. I've known David from childhood and Batu Kunku. David doesn't used to eat meat, but every Tobaski he would slaughter a ram and share the meat with his Muslim neighbors. Recently, David came under heavy pressure from our useless Alcolo, Jerry Jata, who wanted to use power and influence to forcibly sell part of his land. Because Jerry said David did not pay the right amount to get the land, David land was given to him by the former Alcolo by Mundu Jata, father of Jerry himself, when Jerry was going to secondary school. I can confidently say this weed case is a plot to get David's land." This man, David, embraced every bit of piece of our culture and traditions. He would attend every Eid prayer and his neighbors' funerals and naming ceremonies. This is a conspiracy to take his compound, which is at a very prime and expensive location in Batukunka. David recently chased the Alcolo, Jerry Jada, out of his compound because Jerry threatened to sell his compound. And Jerry often used his political connections to intimidate him. David is a very, very kind person. Even a child will stop to greet him with respect. My heart is broken. Rasta David's late wife was a Gambia. One of his sons, who now lives in the United States, is on his way to the Gambia to support his father. David has threatened to go on a hunger strike if the prison authorities cut his dreadlocks. Uh, Politics is rough. So it looks like he got caught up in a political trick bag. And the queen says, a sure plot, so wicked. The thing is, he if they didn't get him for that, they would have got him for something. He's going against somebody with power. We see that now here in America. If you get in Trump's bad favor, bad things could happen. Political power is something that's often misused everywhere: Europe, South America, the Caribbean. No, he's from the United States. Political power is just something that's been used and will continue to be used. You know, it's a worldwide problem. It's not just a problem in Africa, it's a problem everywhere. People have political power and you don't, and they have the ability to do all type of stuff to take your property, to even take your life. You understand? In some places, they'll cut your hair. You could be in a country that's has a certain religion. You could be in an Islamic country, and religion uh, becomes a form of tribalism, and they look at you as an enemy because you're a different religion. You know, a Christian will look at a Muslim as an enemy. A Muslim will look at a Christian as an enemy. You know, they'll look at a Rasta as an enemy because of religious beliefs. There was some country, last year, that said if you see somebody with dreadlocks and a big tam on, get them and cut them off. That was, I forgot what country that was. That was last year. I think that was somewhere in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. One of those regions in Nigeria, you know, they got different regions, and this guy run this area. And one of them dudes in one of them areas said, you see somebody with dreadlocks, cut them off. Real talk. One of the states. You know, it's just the world we live in. It's just, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But if we had marijuana, the Gambia completely outlaws both medical and recreational cannabis and has recently reaffirmed its commitment to strict adherence to enforcing its drug policy. It's best to follow the laws and avoid cannabis and other prohibited drugs when residing or traveling in the Gambia. So, if the brother had cannabis, you know, he was asking for it. If he had any cannabis there, he's fighting a revolutionary fight, and he's a prisoner of war to legalize cannabis. I mean, it's not African Muslims. Islam believe in cutting your hair for the most part. You can't show me nobody in the Nation of Islam with long hair. Show me one brother that got hair on his head. They all got to be clean shaven. You can't even show me nobody in the Nation of Islam with an afro. My brethren, he got a big booklet like this that got all of the final calls in it. And in one of the final calls, Elijah and them put a picture of a brother and sister and children with an afro. And next to him, they show some white people as cavemen with their hair out and tried to equate afro with like being just like a white caveman. They don't do hair at all. They didn't like the afro. Back in the 60s, the Nation of Islam didn't like the afro. Farrakhan and them teach that uh, uh, our hair used to be straight, and we used to be light skinned, and we got dark and nappy hair because we was cursed. That's what they teach. They teach us. They teach us about Yakub is some of the craziest stuff you ever heard. It's totally ridiculous. They got some ridiculous teachings. So that's why their leadership always going to be really light skinned. You know, Farrakhan came to Los Angeles and told the ladies, y'all know y'all like a light skinned man like me with good hair. But brothers and sisters was pissed. Ooh, they was mad about that. So there's colorism in Islam, and you know what I'm saying? Real kind of crazy stuff. Because Farad wasn't no black person. Farad was a European. You know what I'm saying? Imagine calling a European Master Farad. You know, the world is crazy, Queen. So the brother, my advice is for him to pipe down, or he's not going to leave prison. They're going to have somebody do something to him in prison. He's like, sometime you have to, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You have to be careful when you create powerful enemies. Once they lock you up, they can make sure you never come back out. So he's in a lot of danger if he has somebody that's politically connected that wants his land. And plus in Africa, I don't think you can own land. You can like lease it. And I think like black Americans or foreigners, black foreigners, like only get a 50-year lease. And I think Africans only get like 100 years. But I think the chiefs will renew your lease if you really from the family, something like that. It might not be all over the continent because you got Ghana, and you probably got different rules in different countries. But typically, they don't believe in owning land. The land belongs to the tribe. Like they had some Rastas in South Africa. They had a big recording studio and a lot of land stores and stuff. And one day they got a knock on the door, and they went. There was a whole bunch of Maasai warriors out there. And the Maasai told them, "Y'all got to leave today. This is Maasai land." And they had to leave their whole studio stores and everything, buildings and everything, because the Maasai came thick with with a whole bunch of warriors and said, "This is you can't have. This is Maasai land." Yeah, it's different in each country. But in certain places where like tribes claim, you got a problem if it's tribal land. Yeah, if it's tribal land, you got a problem. Would I be scared of what tribe? I mean, what I'm gonna do against a tribe? That's kind of a weird question. I would never put myself in a position to be under a tribe, Michael. I mean, scared. I mean, it's like a weird word. Scared. I don't know if that's the best word for it. But I mean, what I'm gonna do if 1,000 my side coming is just me and my wife and my children? I don't think scared is the right word. You know what I'm saying? I would never put myself in that predicament, but scared wouldn't be the right word. Uh, you outnumbered, and you would just have to humbly do whatever. No, scared is not the right word. You know what I'm saying? I would never put myself in no position like that because if I go there and Boomba is my friend and he passed away, then Chike could just make different moves. You can't have no gun, but a gun, one man with a gun can't do nothing to 1,000 tribal men. You know what I mean? How would I handle the situation? I would have to move. Ain't no handling it. There's no handling that. Like, I lived in the South Pacific, and even though Hawaii is the United States, Hawaii is a third world place. And when you're in Hawaii, there's a lot of different islands, and when we left Oahu and went to the Big Island, when we got to the airport, left the airport, the powerful Hawaiian families all knew we was there. They knew we was there within 2 days. So when we left all the way from there and went all the way to another part of the Big Island, they said, we heard when you guys got here. Because it's families. So when the brothers see you, he tells brothers, yeah, some Rasta just came. Rasta just came here. See what I'm saying? It's like family members. So imagine you're on one side of the country and your sister's on the other side, and your sister sees somebody, and when you talk to your sister, you say, yeah, these people here. So everybody know you there. And if you get in bad favor with the Hawaiian elders, you in a lot of trouble. Now, I had blessing because the Hawaiian elders are black, and the other more lighter ones are like really called locals. They have some Hawaiian blood, but they're not pure Hawaiians. And the pure Hawaiians are black. And so what I did is I went and met the pure Hawaiians, the black ones. So I had like carte blanche. I was like a VIP because I was with the holy men, like the ones that could see the future and all that. I was with the black ones. I went and found the original Hawaiians, not the Polynesians, not the ones that's Hawaiian and Portuguese. Some of them are Hawaiian Portuguese, some of them are Hawaiian Portuguese and Japanese. So they Hawaiians, but they Hawaiians based on they live in the state of Hawaii, but they're not Hawaiians as far as bloodline. So we call them locals. They're not really Hawaiians, they're locals. Like their mother might be Portuguese and Hawaiian, and their daddy might be Japanese and Portuguese. So they might just be one part Hawaiian. You know what I'm saying? But that one part is still kind of connected to whoever that family is. But it's like going to a third world country, and if you don't conduct yourself in a certain kind of way, you got problems. Now, the original Hawaiians don't like the Japanese at all because the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. So they don't like the Japanese. And the Japanese got some kind of power there. But if you plug with the Hawaiian, that kind of negates the Japanese. So what I did, I'm a diplomat. I went and met the elder black original Hawaiians. And they told me they wish we would have came over there before the hippies. They said they wish we would have came in the 60s before the hippies came. But I didn't make no enemies with the Hawaiians. I didn't make no enemies. You know what I'm saying? Because you got no wins. You go out there making enemies, you don't got no wins. Beefing with the Hawaiians in Hawaii, you got that's you're gonna take an L. So you never go to Africa, you under the mercy of wherever you live at, and your power is gonna always be limited. If you don't have no bloodline there and no family back, and so if the brother did get caught with weed, that wasn't smart. Especially when he knew he was beefing with somebody. If he knew he was beefing with somebody, he shouldn't have had no weed on him. You know what I'm saying? He was doing too much. You know what I'm saying? He shouldn't have had no. I got to keep it out. He shouldn't have had no marijuana on him out there. I don't know what he was thinking with that one. He shouldn't have had that. Although dude was gonna get him anyway because he wanted the land, and they never gonna respect him as no African. And he found out the hard way that Pan Africanism don't work in Africa. You not no African. Period. You're not gonna be really respected as no African. You'll have people there that like you. You have people that'll look at you like a brother and stuff, but you'll never be no African. Never in Africa. You'll never be considered no African. We could trace our lineage, some of our lineage to Africa, but we not Africans. We've been gone too long. We've been gone too long, and we mix, with too much stuff. So I can't go there and be no African. You know what I'm saying? That's just not a realistic concept. For me to go there and try to act like I'm an African is totally ridiculous. I got some African blood, but I'm Native American too, though. My mother's African and Native American. My mother's grandmother, my great grandmother, she's Sioux. She lived 170 years. She's Sioux. So on my mother's side is Sioux and African. On my father's side is mostly African and some white blood over there too, because slave owners could sleep with whoever they wanted to sleep with. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have them women didn't have no control of who they could sleep with. And when the slave owners would get the black slaves or the Native American slaves pregnant, they would sometimes sell those children into slavery. They own children, but they didn't consider them. They didn't consider them theirs because they had them by a black woman or by a Native American. So you wasn't gonna never get respect like his wife he had from a white woman. You're a half breed, and they used to have the one drop theory. If you got one drop of black blood, you black, no matter how light skinned you was. So I didn't know the brother had got his locks cut off. Shout out to Mustafa Farrakhan. He let me know about this. The brother got his locks cut off. It's unfortunate. It's just, you know, it's just, it wasn't just the African blood. It was if you had Native American blood too. If you had Native American blood, you had one drop, you was still the N-word. Either one of them, anything other than white, you wasn't nothing. So it wasn't just African blood. Mentally, it wasn't just African blood. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they cut it off. They cut it off yesterday. The Queen told us they cut it off yesterday. The beautiful Queen kept us informed, let us know what's going on. Queen Jada, she uh, told us that they cut it off. And she's from there, so she knows. You know what I'm saying? So we really appreciate the Queen coming over and giving us the 411. She says they got cut off yesterday, so it haven't even made the news yet, but she got the direct info. So you can't find that on the news. You probably won't see it for a couple days. You might not see it, might not get posted until Monday or Tuesday. But according to the Queen, they cut his locks off yesterday because he's an enemy over there, and he's a Rasta over there, and he ain't got no wins. You know what I'm saying? Now there's no Rasta. Islam is the major religion in the Gambia, representing 97% of the 2 million population, with the first Muslim communities in the country arriving in the 11th century. Islam has therefore had an influence on the Gambia throughout history and continues to impact its culture, society, and politics. The majority of the Gambia's Muslims are Sunni, belonging to the Maliki school of jurisprudence, influenced with Sufism. There is a smaller Shiite community, largely stemming from Lebanese and Arab migration. The Ahmadiyya movement is also present. Other religious societies exist in the country, include Catholic, Protestant, Hindu, and traditional African religions. So it's 97% Islamic. So he don't have no wins there. And then there's been certain problems there anyway. So, like, the women, recent online reports have detailed the suspicious unaliving of multiple black women from the U.S. and Britain who moved to the Gambia. The reports describe at least 6 women passing away within a 2-year period, with one death in February 2024 investigated as a murder. And so, when you move to these places, it's just like the United States. The United States, the United States ain't safe. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't fair to look at Africa and say, boy, it ain't safe, man. The world is a ghetto. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to support the brother, go here to change.org, right? And sign the petition for the brother. So they trying to say sign the petition so that he can maintain his cultural identity, but it's too late. They got 300 signatures. They want to get up to 500. Now I got 300 signatures, but it's a little too late if his locks was cut yesterday. This is change.org. Release Rasta David and respect his cultural rights. So we can still stand up for his release. He's an elder. But if he got somebody that wants his land, he can forget that. Yeah, single women must be careful in moving abroad. Queen, single women got to be careful everywhere. The world is just crazy, Queen. The world is crazy. Well, single women are in danger everywhere. Women are coming up missing in Chicago, in the United States, left and right, left and right. Houston, yeah, yeah, women is coming up missing. You see them women missing in Houston? Man, the world is how did Dennis Brown say the world's in trouble and living ain't easy. I said the whole wide world's in trouble. You got to believe me. Oh yeah. I mean the whole world, Queen Jada, is just you know. India, oh, women ain't safe at all in India. South Africa, women ain't safe in South Africa. India, South Africa. Asia. Whoa, you wouldn't believe it. You would not believe it. South Africa is really bad. South Africa and India. India and South Africa is really bad for women. Really bad. It's just the world we live in. So this is the president of the Gambia. If you're a Rasta man, you ain't gonna get no love from him, because he's a Muslim. You ain't getting no love for him. This is why in the United States, even I'm a Rasta, I got to ride on the Foundational Black American banner because that's where I got my military. That's my backing. Ain't no Rasta backing here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? My backing is FBA. You get out there on a limb, you out of there. This is why I don't be wanting to move nowhere and leave my army. My army is Foundational Black Americans. Anywhere else I move, I'm just kind of out there. And I learned that by living in the South Pacific. I moved to the South Pacific in my early 20s. So I learned. I was out there around a lot of Polynesians, a lot of Filipinos, a lot of people from the Philippines, a lot of Japanese, Samoans, Hawaiians, Fijians. And I learned early. It's not sweet. Hawaiians and Samoans don't get along. They're not clashing, but they're not cool. When I was there, Samoans didn't like Hawaiians. They looked at Hawaiians as sellouts. Just like coming up in Chicago when I was young, Puerto Ricans looked at Mexicans as sellouts. They looked at Puerto Ricans as real Hispanics, and they looked at Mexicans as like a white version of Hispanics. Because I worked at a book factory with a Puerto Rican dude, and he hated Mexicans. He said they were sellouts. And the Samoans would say the Hawaiians are sellouts. They said they're the white Polynesians. The Puerto Rican dude said the Mexicans are the white Hispanics. So it's a whole bunch of tribalism out here. So I had to be out there on some revolutionary type stuff, but the odds was against me. I was so happy to get back to LA where I felt safe, felt comfortable. In Hawaii, I felt like everybody, just staring at me all the time, like you own money. I was so happy to get back to LA where nobody's staring you in your face, nobody's looking at you. The people say, "You did you like Hawaii?" No, I didn't like it. You like an outcast. You out here with a bunch of Polynesians and people from the South Pacific. It ain't cool like that. And you black. And they not messing with you like that. The interesting thing is that you know how a lot of different black people don't get along? Well, when all those different rosters from the Virgin Islands, Jamaica, Trinidad, Britain from Africa and stuff, when we all went to Hawaii, all of the black people was united. It's amazing. You know when they get together. So all the black people at the national, we was one because we out there. We the only one. The black people know when to get together. So the Africans, the Black Americans, the Caribbeans, we was all together because we the minority out there. You see what I'm saying? That's how it worked. We was a minority out there, so we was like this. Isn't that crazy? But take us back somewhere else, we back split up. We was like this out there. I was beefing with the Filipinos. I was beefing with the Hawaiians. For real. As skinny as I am. And I'm beefing with some big old Samoans. And we had some big brothers out there. I'm like, why I got it, Uh, but certain sisters was out there. They was talking crazy to certain sisters. So I was standing on business. But you definitely outnumbered. Ain't no black police out there. The police is Japanese and Polynesian. Yeah, you go to Africa, go back to where you from. But if you go somewhere where you outnumbered, then you black. If you go to Jamaica, now it's Jamaican and you're a Yankee. But if you take a Jamaican and a black American and put them out in Hawaii, now you black. Because our band, we had Jamaicans, we had people from St. Lucia, Virgin Islands, we had different black Americans, we had brothers from Ethiopia out there. And we was all like that. Why? Because we the only blacks. Soon as you leave there, you back divided. That's just how it works. I know it's crazy. But hey, that's the world we in, y'all. I'm gonna show you. We even had a brother was a black Filipino out there. I think his father was black and his mother was Filipino. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. I gotta upload more pictures so I can show you all. Oh, here we go. The second brother from your left with his hand up like that. He Filipino and black. Us other three, we from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Is there any Rastafarian person that could go speak and talk to the Gambian president? I doubt it. They already cut the brother drill. I doubt it. I don't know. I kind of doubt it because Haile Selassie gave Rastas Shashamani, and the Rastas moved to Shashamani, but Shashamani is the land of a group of Ethiopians that don't like Haile Selassie. So they bulldozed the Rastas camp. They chased the Rastas out of Shashamani. Straight up. They chased the Rastas out. You see what I'm saying? Because they was in an area that didn't like Haile Selassie. You see what I'm saying? They was in Oromo territory, and Oromo don't like them. See, in Ethiopia, you got different groups. So you got the Ethiopian flag, but then you got the Amara flag, Haile Selassie Amara. See what I'm saying? Then you got the Aroma flag. The Aroma don't like Haile Selassie. This group right here, the Aroma. Then you got the Tigrayan flag. They just went to war. So just think about that. There's more flags than that. So just think it's Ethiopia, but it got 3 different flags. And all them flags is under the one flag. You know what I'm saying? Just let that sink in. All of those flags are up under this flag. So this is the flag of Ethiopia, and this is the flag of the Tigrayans, and this is the flag of the Aroma, and this is the flag of the Amara. Now, Haile Selassie was Amara, and the Aroma hate the Amara. You see what I'm saying? So when the Rastas went there, they was in Aroma territory, and the Aroma didn't want them there. So they got chased out. Matter of fact, the Aroma up in Europe destroyed Haile Selassie's statue. That's how much they hated him. These are Ethiopians that tore up the Ethiopian emperor's statue here. You understand? Ethiopians up in Europe did that. I mean, it should have been torn up. It's ugly. If you're going to make a statue of Haile Selassie, at least make it look like him. But yeah, they tore up the statue. So imagine moving there in the middle of that. I study, so you can't trick me with all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm a revolutionary. I'm not going nowhere without weapons. Don't even talk to me. If you ain't talking self-defense, don't talk to me. That's what makes me advance as a foundational Black American over other Blacks. Other Blacks in the Caribbean and Africa, they don't have the same military mind state we got. Foundational Black Americans, we have the a superior military mind state. Because we fought in the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War One, World War Two, Vietnam, Desert Storm, all of them. We fought in all the wars. We warriors. So we have a superior mind state when it comes to war. We not like them. The rest other blacks, the Africans, they ain't on that yet. They trying to get there, but they ain't on that yet. We live in a country where, when I used to go to Alabama, my granddaddy had a shotgun. It would be hanging on the wall in the living room, like two things, and he just sit it up there. I remember one time I was in Alabama, and I had my mother's brother, or my mother's uncle, Sugar Man. He used to be a bootlegger. So one day the white sheriffs or whatever pulled up on the road. They didn't pull up on my granddaddy's property. They pulled out on the main road, and then there's a dirt road up to the house, and they blew out there. And my granddad said, "Come on up." And then they drove up so far. My granddaddy came out with his shotgun, with his rifle. And then the white police pulled up and they said, "Hey, Sammy, we got Sugar Man in the car." Like, all right, come on out, Because, they coming from the racism and stuff. My granddaddy came out with the gun. Straight up. My daddy had guns, My daddy had guns. I grew up in the 60s. Black Power, Black Panthers. That's how I grew up. I grew up a revolutionary. I'm thinking about interviewing Fred Hampton Jr. When I launched my other channel, Pharaoh Said That Live. I think he's going to be one of my first interviews. I got to contact him. So I think I might interview him over there. You know what I'm saying? So in America, we about the gunplay. The gangs got guns. We do guns. Everybody got guns over here. Shorty and them got guns with switches on it. Yeah, we do guns, especially in Chicago, because the blacks in Chicago had to go to war with the white gangsters. So when we the ones started the numbers racket, and we had to go to war with Al Capone and all of them. I'll maybe do a live on that one day. They're just Chicago white gangsters. That's how we got our respect in Chicago. Do gangster stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. I don't want to tell you that. So, going to Africa without no weapons and stuff, that's out the question. Hell no. You know what I'm saying? I feel sorry for the brother. But the brother, his life is in danger now because he got a powerful enemy. That man that wants his land. See, that man that wants his land, that man's father gave him the land. And see, what happened is when the father give you the land and he passed away, the son gonna try to renege everything. Like my daddy gone, so that's over with. See what I'm saying? So now he don't have that man father. As long as that man father was alive, he protected him. Because I think this brother's like 71 years old. Like my elder. You know what I'm saying? I'm 67, so he's like 4 years older than me. And he don't have his protection no more. A lot of times when the father look out for you, the son will hate you. You know what I'm saying? I bet he did. You better believe it. So once the father passed away, he was out of there anyway. Once he found out dude wanted the land. To be honest, once he found out that man wanted the land, he should have cut some kind of deal and he should have left. He should have cut some kind of deal and left. To be honest, he got no wins over there. You know what I'm saying? He should have cut a deal and went and got him some land somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? As soon as he found out that the man's son was after him like that and wanted his land, he should have looked out for his own well-being first, because he'd be lucky to get out of prison. Now the dude got him in prison, he can make sure he get his land. He can make sure he don't get out. He'd be lucky to get out of prison. Because for a little bit of money, you will not get out of there. And if this is a powerful dude that wants your land, and all he got to do to get your land and get rid of you, and you locked in a jail in his country, you out of there. He should have, when dude said he wanted the land, he should have talked to dude like, can you help me get something else? I'll let you get it. I know it was your father's. So I understand you want your inheritance. Because dude looking at it like this my inheritance. My daddy shouldn't have gave you my inheritance. I don't like you. My daddy liked you. A lot of times, if the daddy like you, the children really hate you. Their jealousy is even heavier. Because the son looking like, you ain't one of us. You not our tribe. You a foreigner. You Ferengi. So he should have cut a deal and tried to figure out how he could make some kind of peace with the dude. So dude, listen, man, I know it's your father's land. He gone, so I know all bets is off now. What could you do for me? You can have the land. What could you do for me? Dude probably would have said, I could do this for you. Exactly. Shaka Zulu. So it's like he should have tried to cut a deal with dude. Now he'd be lucky to get out of there. I'm sure plans is for him not to leave. They already humiliated him and cut his locks off. They ain't got no plan. Look how they did Dr. Sabi. See how they did Sabi? Locked him up. He was out of there. You know what I'm saying? As soon as they put them cuffs on him, it was a wrap. Because he was over there playing African, but you not no African. They ain't gonna never respect you as no African. It just ain't gonna happen. Pan-Africans in America is living in a dream. That's a dream. That's an illusion. Even Rasta is an illusion, because just a lot of Jamaican Rastas just don't respect you. To them, you still a Yankee. They got tribalism. I've been a Rasta man a long time, and it was tribalism. The only reason the tribalism was limited because we in the United States, and I had the backing of gangs and people I grew up with. So you got no wins here. So you got no wins in Chicago trying to trip. That go bad for you. You know what I'm saying? That go bad with you, because I became a Rasta, at like 20. But I grew up on the block. And my friends on the block. So you can't come to Chicago and run nothing. You know what I'm saying? You got no wins here, but it was still like, it was funny acting. You had certain brethren that was really cool. That's what he went to. He had certain people that was really cool in Africa. Then you got the ones that's not. And all it takes is the ones that's not when you're in their country. That's why when I left here, I didn't go to the Caribbean. My friends from Trinidad wanted me to go to Trinidad and then Africa. My friend Jamaica wanted me to go to Jamaica. I said, no, let me go to an island in the United States, which was genius. I said, we got our own islands. Let me go to an island in Hawaii. It's limited what they can do to me in Hawaii because it's the United States. They still under United States rules. So the Hawaiians and Samoans, it was limited what they can do. Plus in Hawaii, you got the military out there. So you had a whole bunch of black men that was out there in the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, and the Marines that got out and stayed out there. But I wasn't gonna go to no Caribbean or nowhere like that and be in the middle of the hate. As soon as I went to Jamaica, I would experience the hate at a high level. Once they get me on their turf, it wasn't too much they could do in Chicago or L.A. They couldn't say nothing to me in L.A. because by me being foundational Black American, I was plugged with the Crips and the Bloods. You still you the foreigner, you know what I'm saying? But when I went to Hawaii, it wasn't a whole bunch of blacks, so it was racist. I was always getting into it with the Japanese. At that time, the Japanese was the most racist people I ever met in my life. They was way worse than white people. They were way worse than the racist white people. Because I ain't gonna say white people are racist, just some of them. But the Japanese was way more racist than the whites that's racist by far. The most racist people I ever been around was the Japanese. You ain't. They don't like. Let me tell you, the Japanese don't like no Asians. That's what tripped me out. White people like other white people, but the Japanese, they don't like Chinese. They don't like Filipinos. They don't like Koreans. They don't like nobody. It was tripped out. So I was glad to get back to LA because I was always going to war with the Japanese. I had to go to war with the Japanese that got stores, gas stations. I had to go to war with the Japanese police. There was like a gas station we used to went to had a little store, and it was owned by some Japanese. And there was a Japanese girl that was around our age. We in our young 20s, and she was around young 20s. And it was by where we lived. So every time I would pull the van there to get gas, she would come out with these goo eyes. She was like infatuated with me. So her man, he kind of started tripping. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't my fault. I didn't like her. She liked me, and he seen she would always come out when I pulled up and be just Google eyeing me. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of tried to get nasty. I had to threaten to whoop him. You know what I mean? I mean, I had to thread dude. He calmed down once I told him, listen, bro, woo woo woo. I was from Chicago, so I was trying to be Rasta E. I was trying to be a Rasta. I was trying to be Pan African. You know what I mean? I'm going straight from Jerry curls to the dreads. So I didn't have it all the way down. I didn't have it down yet. you know? I just came off the block from shooting dice with perms and, old dummy. I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go black power. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot for me trying to go conscious, and they kept pulling me back into the hood. Yeah, I remember that. So when I got back to LA and nobody was staring at me, it was a whole bunch of black Americans. I was so happy to get back to LA. Ooh, people ask you ever want to go back to Hawaii? Absolutely not. Beautiful place, but the people, when you black, mm-mm. And it's small, and you just driving around an island, you get island fever. Everybody know you left home, and you go to the store. All the neighbors know you're not home. You see the same people year after year. They call it rock fever because you're on a rock. An island is a rock, and you just driving around and around on a rock. So when I got back to LA, well, I don't got to see the same people, and there's millions of people. Whew, so nobody's in your business. That's why I like Chicago. I don't got to see nobody. I don't even got to see the people I know. When I go outside, I don't see the same people. So I feel sorry for the brother. He going through turmoil. All I can say is, yeah, it's like a small town. That's why people like us, we like the big city. There's more privacy. Little do they know. I go, way more privacy in a big city than it is in small towns. Small towns and small areas is the worst. Everybody know your business. They gossip like crazy. And it's easy for the whole town not to like you. It's the worst. It really is. Living in small places is horrible. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't. It's too stifling. It's too nosy. They nosy. You know? This the brother that put us up on it. Salute to Elijah Farrakhan. He the one let me know. He DM'd me this on Instagram. So this is who I got the information for. Thanks, bro, for keeping us informed. Keep me informed on everything like that so I could tell the people, you know? He looks good for his age. I feel sorry for him, you know. Once he found out the dude wanted the land that his daddy gave him back, he shouldn't have had no ganja on him, nowhere. He was slipping. You know what I'm saying? So I heard they cut his locks yesterday. The Queen told us that. The Queen told us that they cut his locks. Let me give her some more love. She kept us informed and kept us up on everything with her beautiful self. Let me go get the Queen some love. This is how we know they cut his locks. The Queen let us know. So much love to the beautiful Queen. She let us know. She plugged over there. I need to go to Africa and get me one of them. Let me get two. Can I get two of them? I need to go to Africa and get one of them queens like that. I need to go to Africa. So, you're a Rasta man, It's one of those things. I feel sorry for the brother. We're going to keep you updated on it, on the situation with the brother. Shout out to everybody in the Gambia that is on some righteousness. We ain't going to blame the Gambia. To the president over there, go get dude out. Let dude go. You know what I'm saying? Show some compassion. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the 5 more African countries now just legalize polygamous marriages. Ain't no way. Ain't no way I want more than one wife. If you have one wife, there's no way you want two. Ain't no way. To me, that just feel like slavery, like you own like the two ladies. And they wouldn't feel like that ain't no love. How you gonna love both of them? Impossible. You can't love no two ladies. I didn't had two women before. They didn't know I had them. And I always liked one the best. I've never liked two ladies equally. Never. It's never happened. Anytime I had two women, I liked one more. It never was equal. That's why I always dumped one. Because I don't even like her like the other one. Ain't no way you could love two women equally. That's just people just got wives as property in Africa and countries like that. They just look at them as property. They do. They just look at them as property. Like when you got women, is when you fall in love, that strong love is gonna only be for one person. You could not have that love for nothing but one person. Love is real specific. For real. Love is specific. Love is not open like that. I watch documentaries on men that had two wives, and one was always jealous because he was always sleeping with one more than the other one. Straight up. Go watch, go look on documentaries on it. Never work out because there's always one he likes more. And the other one began to see that and she be uncomfortable. The only way you could be with two women and it work is that the two women got to be sleeping with each other. That's what they're not telling you. That the women is heterosexuals and lesbians. That's how that be working. That the women like each other. They doing stuff. That's the secret. That's a secret they don't tell you. I've been with three women, four women, and they be doing each other all the time. Most of the time, I just be watching them. You know what I'm saying? It'll work if they doing each other. It'll work if they in love with each other and they a couple or they a threesome. It'll work. That's the only way it work is they be playing with each other. That'll work. I can do it like that. They'll ride it out. They'll ride it out. They'll ride with you. They'll ride with you. Because the leader gonna make them. You know what I'm saying? When I first got out the county jail after being there 4 months, I had a crew like that. I ain't have to worry about the other two or three because the leader she control them. They gonna do what she tell them. That's how that work. You got the leader. She keep them in line. They don't get out of line either. And when she call them, they come. So all you got to do is go pick her up. That's how pimps do. Pimps, you get the main one, and then she get the other women. That's how that works. If that was legalized nationally in the U.S., would it be positive or no? I think it'd just be a bunch of lesbians and a dude. I don't think. I think it might help the population a little bit, but I don't think it would be good for the children. I think it would be favoritism, and overall, it won't be love. It just be a bunch of people having sex, but it won't be love though. You can't love no two women equally. It's impossible. That's totally impossible. And because in Africa, it wasn't even done like that. They distorting it. So they not even the Africans ain't dealing with it the way it was originally. They distorted. Africans don't know no African history. Africans don't know nothing about ancient Africa. The wife thing was to prevent wars. Africans don't know that. So if I'm a tribe here and you're a tribe there, we having war. The king would give me one of his daughters to my son so my son can have a baby by her to make the tribes be one family. By law, they couldn't fight no more once they become family. Or the king would send me a wife from him. I have to get her pregnant. And then that baby is not this tribe or that tribe. So by law, they didn't believe in fighting their own people. So once you interbreed, you stop fighting. That's what it was originally for, to stop wars. These chiefs didn't like these women. It was a political thing to have a baby by her. It was a gift from the other chief. And it was a political thing to have a baby by her so that the tribes would be related. Now we cousins. See, if you go to Africa, Africans don't know nothing about Africa. Africans don't know no African history. They only know colonial stuff from the colonial period when the Europeans took over. That's why they over there speaking French and Portuguese and all that. They don't know. They don't even know. They don't even have their own languages too much. That's what that was about. It was about bonding the tribes. And Native Americans used to do it too. Two Native American tribes was fighting. Well, then I have my son marry your daughter, and they have a baby. So now my son and your daughter is family. The war is over. The river we was fighting for, we split it now. We split it. Instead of me trying to dominate the river, instead of you trying to dominate the river or the lake, we split it. Why? Because your daughter had my son's baby, and that baby is both our grandbabies. We family. So it's all love. That's why they would do it. To unite the tribes. So he offered me a wife. And so if I'm a king right here, it's a tribe right there, it's a tribe right there, it's a tribe right there. That's how I end up with 3 wives, because he give me a wife from that tribe, he give me a wife from that tribe, and he give me a wife from that tribe. I got to get them all pregnant though. So now me and that tribe is family, us and this tribe is family, and us and this tribe. That's why they was doing that. That's how you end up with so many Zulus, and that's how some tribes end up so big, because eventually one tribe eats the whole tribe up, and all these tribes basically turn to our tribe. If we big enough and they give us these women and we breed with these women, they become us, and the tribe become bigger and bigger and bigger. So it was kind of try to help to prevent war. It was like a thing of honor. You know what I'm saying? In ancient times, I don't know what it is now, but if you know the ancient history, that's what it was. I don't know what it is now, but that's the ancient history of Alkebulan before it was Africa. It was a sense of honor. It was a way to unify. It was a beautiful thing, because in ancient times, they didn't deal with babies like we dealt with babies. They dealt with babies. Babies were soldiers. Babies was workers. The more babies, the more people can grow food, the more people can fight. So Babies was like money. It should be like that over here. Like babies was the most valuable thing ever. You don't got no people, you can't survive. So in our ancient time, babies was worth everything. So the more babies you can have, the more stuff you can get done. How many houses could you build with 1,000 babies compared to 100,000 babies? See what I'm saying? You can't do as much with 1,000 people as you can do with 100,000 people. So babies represented ingenuity, progress, power, expansion in ancient times. That's why babies was the most valuable thing. Babies was people, and people was more valuable than anything. You know what I'm saying? So babies was very valuable, very, 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 very valuable. It represented growth of the tribe, growth of the people. So you try to have as many babies as possible. Babies had nothing to do with marriage or love. Babies had to do with survival. More babies, a bigger army, bigger workforce, bigger farms, more food. That's what babies used to represent. So sex was a job. It was a job. You got to get these women pregnant. They got to have babies. That's where the European learned it, right? And did that during slavery, right? Had breeding farms. He ain't got all that cotton if he don't got nobody to grow the cotton. You know what I'm saying? So they had black people breeding so somebody could pick that cotton. My father was the youngest of 13. You know what I'm saying? My father was the youngest of 13. You know what I mean? So you had to have babies. And because my grandfather had 13 children, he had a big farm, he did good. And my father said the man next door, the man that had the farm next door, he was starving because he only had one son. So he was starving. He barely was making it. And my grandfather used to send a couple of my uncles over there to help the man. But my grandfather was popping. This my daddy family right here. Three of them ain't in the picture. It's only 10 of them, but it's 13 of them. The one at the bottom with the light skinned suit on, that's my daddy's older brother. My daddy's the one at the top in the middle, the baby. My daddy was the baby. My Uncle Richard with the light suit on, he was the oldest. My Uncle Richard ended up being my daddy's principal when we went to school. And I think the lady next to my uncle was my daddy's teacher. So my daddy had to go to school, and his oldest sister was his teacher, and his brother was the principal. So he had to be a good boy. Three of them ain't there. I think one had passed away from malaria, and I'm not sure why nobody there, who's not there. The three girls is there, but three of the boys ain't there. Probably my Uncle Larry ain't there, unless that's him standing next to Richard. I gotta ask my sister, she'll know. But yeah, my father was the youngest of 13 and they did well. That's what children was about. So look, y'all stay positive. I feel sorry for the brother. I hope he survived. I hope they don't do nothing to him. I hope maybe some government people at least get him out. One thing about dreads just grow. So all you got to do is don't comb it and wash it, and they're going to keep growing. So it don't matter if they cut them off. Just let it grow again. I had a Rasta brethren, and he had some long dreads, and he had got hit with something and had to get little stitches, and they had to cut a little piece there to give him his stitches, and he never liked that. It bothered him. So one day I went to see him, and he had cut all his locks off. And I asked him, "Dang, you cut your locks off?" He said, "Yeah, because I never liked the fact they put a razor to my head. You know, you're not supposed to put a razor to a Rasta man's head." Numbers chapter 6, or one of them verses. I said, "You going to grow them back?" He said, "Man, how you going to ask me? Do you ask a tree if it's not going to grow?" He said, "Do you ask a tree is it going to grow?" I said, "Wow, that was my brethren Josh Stone. He had cut his locks. He had long locks, and he cut them because he wasn't comfortable with them putting a razor to his head when he had to get stitches. He had to get stitches one time, and it bothered him. And I ran into him. I went to see him, and he had cut him off. And I said, "Man, what?" I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. He said, "You going to ask a tree if it's not going to grow?" I said, "Wow, I never thought about it like that." He just let them grow back on their own. That's what he asked me. I said, "You going to grow them back?" He said, "Man, you ask a tree if it's not going to grow back?" I said, "I ain't never think about it like that." I took a picture with them. That's right after he had cut them and they was growing back. And their hair grew fast because like about 2 years later, his hair was back down his back. So look, positive energy, much respect to my brethren, Josh Stone. Positive energy, once again, thanks, beautiful queen. We really appreciate you keeping us informed. Okay, that's much appreciated. And, you know, stay over here, subscribe. And anytime you see us over here talking about Africa or something, come over and give us the 411 on what's going on. Every now and then, just come over and let us know what's going on over there. All right, baby girl? Much love and respect. You know what I'm saying? So stay in touch. So we got a on the scene reporter, Queen Jada. Hey, Queen Jada, you're on the scene. This is Queen Jada. I'm on the scene with WQUEEN, Queen Radio Television. And I'm going to keep y'all informed on what's going on. So y'all stay positive, and everybody in Africa, stay positive, stay strong, all right? Victory.
Pharaoh send that him attack truth and know. Teach for reparation for your fi grow. Rasta from Chicago, him light the way. Up with yourself, stay positive every day. Pharaoh said that me hear him on the screen, talking about the history, what they never seen. From the land of Zion to the street when Jah, spreading Jah love and giving praise to Jah. Pharaoh said that me hear on the screen, talking about the history, what they never seen. From the land of Zion to the street when Jah, spreading Jah love and giving praise to Jah.